Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I am Sandra, and this is my daughter London, who is 5 months old now, and Nix is also down here bothering her. So just ignore that. Anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about baby names that I love, but probably won't be using. You like the doggy? No. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I have my phone here, and on my phone and my notes, I've got a list of both boy and girl names. I have 6 for each, and I'm just going to talk about them, okay? So I will do girls first. The first name on my girl list is Olivia. I've always liked the name Olivia. It was one of the ones that I used to choose as a child, saying, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to name my daughter Olivia. I still like the name, and I like, it could be used shortened to a nickname, like you could be called Ollie or you could be called Via, which I was going to do Via if I had a girl and named her Olivia. But I feel like the name is just a little too common for my liking. I like to be a little different, personally. Nothing against anyone who has that name, obviously, or any of the other names that I choose. There's nothing against anybody. I'm just not going to use them. I still love them, I just won't use them. Okay, and number 2 on the list is Scarlett. I really have always liked the name Scarlett. Me and Christopher both actually picked that name together. It was one of our options for London, and it was going to be Scarlett Rose because I liked how that fit together, because London's name, her name is London Rain, and it's a play on words. London is a place. Rain, hers is spelled like R-E-I-G-N, as in like the monarchy way, which London has monarchy still, so it goes together in that way, but also it rains in London a lot. So I liked how that was. So with Scarlett, the name that we had was Scarlet Rose, as in scarlet can be used to describe the color red, so it would be Red Rose. And I liked that, but recently I've known a lot of people who've had daughters named Scarlett, so I wouldn't use it anymore. And the third name on my list is Charlotte, which is also a name that I've always liked, and it was a choice for me for my next daughter because Charlotte is also a place, and I wanted to have that theme because London's name is technically a place, so that I wouldn't just have a bunch of random names for my kids, because I like to keep things like with a theme in some way. But another thing where I know someone who has a child named Charlotte, so I wouldn't use it anymore. The fourth name is Paisley. Paisley used to be one of the top names on my list, and I still love the name, obviously, but I don't think Christopher likes it, so we probably wouldn't use that. The fifth name that I liked was Eleanor. That's one that I liked whenever I was in my early teens, mostly because of the whole One Direction thing, Louis and Eleanor. So I did like the name, but I just wouldn't use it. And the last name on my list for girls is the name Brooklyn, which Brooklyn was, sorry, my nose ring. Brooklyn was the first name choice that we had for London, or that I had for London. I had the name Brooklyn Sky, which is another one of those play-ons. Brooklyn is also a place, sky, as in the Brooklyn sky, looking at the sky in Brooklyn. It's probably cheesy, but that's something that I liked, but Christopher didn't like that name, so we didn't end up using it, and we won't use it because he doesn't like it. So that is all of the girls' names that I love but won't be using. So now on to the boys. I'm sorry if I'm sniffling, but my nose is running for some reason. Okay, now on to the boys' names. The first name on my list for a boy is Miles, spelled with a Y. Part of the reasoning that I like that name is because my maiden last name was Miles, but it was spelled with an I. It was M-I-L-E-S. And, I don't like my first, I don't really care for my first name, especially not to pass down, and my middle name is too common. My middle name is Marie, and I don't want to, keep using that middle name because I just think it's a little too common for me. So I wouldn't use my first or last name with a daughter of mine to, carry on the name. But for a boy, I did like the name Miles, and it would kind of be like a takeaway from my name, so that I could have a bit of me in one of the names, because obviously we do plan on using Christopher's middle name Ryan at some point. If we ever have a boy, we do want to use the name Ryan in it as like a thing for him. So I thought, you know, to have it fair so that I could have someone named with me too, I could do Miles. But that isn't my top favorite boy name, and I don't know how many boys or if any I'd ever have. So I don't know that I'd ever use that name. It just depends. The second name on my boy list is Oliver. I've always loved the name Oliver. I like names that have good nicknames for them. Like for Oliver, you'd have Ollie, which is like super simple, you know? Like with my name, the only nickname that there ever was for me was Sandy, and I've always absolutely hated it. With London, there's not really one either that we've found that we liked. Like, there's Lundy, but I don't really like that either. But, you know, obviously when she's older, she can say if she likes anything and stuff like that. But I always liked Oliver as a name. I just don't think I'd ever get to use it, because that's also not a top boy name, and I don't know how many sons, if any, that I'll ever have. My third name also throws back to my One Direction days, was Niall. I liked the name Niall. That was really my favorite of them. Like, Liam is a common name. I did really like Zayn, but my mom took that. My little brother's middle name is Zayn, so I can't use that. And I know I had a lot of struggles with Louis's name. Like, I always in my head pronounced it Lewis, and I knew that it was pronounced Louis. But my favorite out of all of them was Niall. I liked Harry as a name, but I don't like the name Harold. It's just a little too mature and old sounding for me. But I did always like Niall. So that is also on my list for boys. The fourth name on my list for boys is the name Grayson. I have always liked the name Grayson. I think it's a sweet, simple name. It also has nicknames for it, like you can call them Gray or G or something like that, and it's cute. But that's another one of those names where I know a lot of people with children named Grayson, and it's a common name right now. The fifth name on my list is another name that I absolutely love, but Christopher doesn't like, and it's the name Harvey. And I know a lot of people also probably don't really care for that name, but I've always liked it. But there's just not a way for me to incorporate it, especially not in the way that he would agree with, because he does have a say-so in the naming of our childs as well. Of our children. And the last name on my boys list that I like is the name Parker. This goes back to whenever I was in middle school and my mom worked at a daycare and I would spend time with her. You know, there was this little boy named Parker, and he was like the cutest, sweetest little boy, and I just loved the name, and I always have since, you know, I met that little boy named that. But I just don't think I'd ever use it, because I have names that I like more, you know? Like, I don't want to use a name that isn't my favorite and then not get a chance to use my favorite name ever. So I'd rather, you know, if and when I ever have a son, I'm going to use my most favorite name first, just so that I got to use it at some point. And if I don't have any more boys, well, at least I got to use the name that I liked. So yeah, that is all of the baby names that I absolutely love, but most likely won't be using. I mean, I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen, so maybe one day I will have a child with one of these names, but for now, I don't think so. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments of some baby names that you love for boys or girls, or even your own baby's names. I'll love to go through and read them. I always like to read the comments. I'd also appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps out a lot, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.